Alright, let's see if this works.
Junk Shop Libraries Improv Bible Study. Are you ready for this?
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, once again to Improv Bible Study here on the Junk Shop Library channel, where there's nothing so weird it can't happen because we're talking about the Bible. We talked about circumcising the foreskins of our hearts last time, and the same man who came up with that delectable turn of phrase is also the source of the quotation marks surrounding today's reading. So, without further ado, I'll give you just enough time to reach down and hit that like button for me. And then we'll jump right into Deuteronomy 11th chapter. Therefore thou shalt love the Lord thy God, and keep his charge, and his statutes, and his judgments, and his commandments alway. And know ye this day, for I speak not with your children which I have not known, and which have not seen the chastisements of the Lord your God, his greatness, his mighty hand, and his stretched out arm, and his miracles, and his acts which he did in the midst of Pharaoh, and in the midst of Egypt, unto Pharaoh the king of Egypt, and unto all his land, and what he did unto the army of Egypt, unto their horses, and to their chariots, how he made the water of the Red Sea to overflow them as they pursued after you, and how the Lord hath destroyed them unto this day. And what he did unto you in the wilderness until ye came unto this place. And what he did unto Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, son of Reuben, how the earth opened up her mouth, and swallowed them up, and their households, and their tents, and all substance that was in their possession, in the midst of all Israel. But your eyes have seen all the great acts of the Lord which he did. Therefore shall ye keep all the commandments which I command you this day, that ye may be strong, and go in and possess the land, whither ye go to possess it. And that ye may prolong your days in the land, which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give unto them and unto their seed, a land that floweth with milk and honey. For the land whither thou goest in to possess it is not as the land of Egypt from whence ye came out, where thou sowedst thy seed, and wateredst it with thy foot as a garden of herbs. But the land whither ye go to possess it is a land of hills and valleys, and drinketh water of the rain of heaven, a land of which the Lord thy God careth for. The eyes of the Lord thy God are always upon it, from the beginning of the year even unto the end of the year. And it shall come to pass, if ye shall hearken diligently unto my commandments, which I command you this day, to love the Lord your God, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul, that I will give you the rain of your land in his due season, the first rain and the latter rain, that thou mayest gather in thy corn, and thy wine, and thine oil. And I will send grass in thy fields for thy cattle, that thou mayest eat and be full. Take heed to yourselves, that your heart be not deceived, and ye turn aside, and serve other gods, and worship them. And then the Lord's wrath be kindled against you, and he shut up the heaven, that there be no rain, and that the land yield not her fruit, and lest ye perish quickly from off the good land which the Lord giveth you. Therefore ye shall lay up these my words, in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes. And ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt write them upon the doorposts of thine house, and upon thy gates, that your days may be multiplied, and the days of your children, in the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers to give them, as the days of heaven upon the earth. For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments which I command you, to do them, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him, then will the Lord drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves. Every place whereon the soles of your feet shall tread shall be yours, from the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river Euphrates, even unto the uttermost sea shall your coast be. There shall no man be able to stand before you, for the Lord your God shall lay the fear of you and the dread of you upon all the land that ye shall tread upon, as he hath said unto you. Behold, I set before you this day a blessing and curse. A blessing, if ye obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you this day, And a curse if ye will not obey the commandments of the Lord your God, but turn aside out of the way which I command you this day, to go after other gods which ye have not known. And it shall come to pass, when the Lord thy God hath brought thee in unto the land whither thou goest to possess it, that thou shalt put the blessing upon Mount Gerizim, and the curse upon Mount Ebal. Are they not on the other side Jordan, by the way where the sun goeth down, in the land of the Canaanites, which dwell in the champaign over against Gilgal, beside the plains of Moreh? For ye shall pass over Jordan, to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God giveth you, and ye shall possess it, and dwell therein. And ye shall observe to do all the statutes and judgments which I set before you this day. And there we have the 11th chapter of Deuteronomy. Dear, dear, dear. All right. So here in chapter 11, we have what we in the trade call repetition for repetition's own sake. Oh my goodness. I mean, holy cow, y'all. How damn dumb are these people he's talking to? Do they not already get this whole love the Lord, serve no one else? If you love any other god or serve them, God's gonna fuck you up? I mean, is there anybody still listening who has not heard this at least like 3 times so far in the 11 chapters so far we've had of Deuteronomy? Oh, great googly moogly. All right, and what the only real thing besides that stuck out at me in the whole chapter is that we've got a particularly egregious instance either of poor writing and copy editing or of Moses' memory. Because that long, rambling sentence that starts in verse 2 and goes through the end of verse 7 boils down to, now remember all this stuff that you've seen, the mighty works that God had done. I'm not speaking to the young children who were not yet born when he did these mighty deeds, but to you, the adults, who saw damn well his mighty deeds, including the plagues visited upon Egypt. All right. Here's the problem with that. No one is left alive who was alive in Egypt, if we're to take the rest of the story at face value. Because if you'll recall from our previous times together, because the people murmured against the Lord one too many times, he decided that no one who was above the age of majority at the time of the great murmuring would be allowed to go over into the promised land. So the only people who are alive at this time, because remember, they're at the threshold of the promised land. Old man Moses is giving his farewell address. This speech ends with Moses going up the mountain to die. Eventually. But the absolute oldest one of these people could be that he's speaking to now, if God's word is to be taken at face value, which he so often insists that we must, is someone who was, 11 at the time of the rebellion at Horeb. Okay? So 40 years later, that person is 52, 53. All right, which, given the state of medicine at the time, makes them probably a grandfather at the very least, and ancient of days. But still, the memories of those people, of the plagues visited upon Egypt in the weeks before they were let go, are to be. I mean, is that those are the memories he's calling upon to compel all of Israel to sit up and do right? I mean, I understand there's been other weird shit happen in the wilderness. The plague of the fiery snakes and the sinkhole that swallowed the sons of Abiram and all that. But, I saw a sinkhole 40 years ago. I don't know how compelling that could be expected to be. The time frame of the desert wanderings just seems to float and to flex depending on the narrative needs of the immediate point in time in which some smaller story is being told. I haven't plotted the whole thing out on a timeline, but I remain unconvinced that all this adds up. And yeah, right, this is where my suspension of disbelief breaks down, is 20% of the way through Deuteronomy, when the ages of the children from 3 books ago don't quite seem to add up. Yep, that's when it folded. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, and I can't believe any of this anymore. No. Come on. If you hadn't been with us very long, I can see where you might jump to that conclusion. But you roll back into Genesis and listen to me talk about Noah and Abraham. Have no fear. Conversion is not nigh. Well, I mean, that aside, once again, it's just more of the same. Just Moses repeating, be scared of God and do what I tell you he said to do, as many different ways as he possibly can. And everybody else is falling asleep in the sand, waiting for old man Moses to shut up, go up the mountain, and die. Which has to happen eventually. Right? Right? Oh, dear, dear, dear. All right. Well, I tell you one thing. I am amazed and astounded as many people have joined us during the course of Deuteronomy as have. I promise y'all we'll get into Joshua and Judges here before too terribly much longer, and there will be stuff happening besides me complaining about old man Moses filibustering for too long. In the meantime, like and subscribe, poke the Pope to do the latter, poke the finger to do the former, and feel free, of course, as always, to share these around with your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, your enemies, your atheists, your theists, your polytheists, your really needed one more belief system to really make that roll off the tongue there, but drawing a blank. Like, subscribe, and share, I guess is what I'm saying. You noticed I never really know how to round these things out? It was a little easier when I was looking at myself on the camera. Now I'm looking at a blue schematic of my voice patterns. All right, so we'll end this here. Until next time, y'all take care, be safe, and stand against hate.